So, Urchin, we're watching Howling 7. I'm super excited about that because I remember Howling 2. We're getting Christopher Lee, right?
No.
Red Brown. Red Brown's in it.
No.
We've got Castles in Transylvania then, where they take all the werewolves?
No.
We've got a good werewolf coven, like a whole bunch of them all doing like weird satanic stuff?
There might be one?
Is there at least line dancing?
Oh, well, line dancing. Why didn't you say so first?
Now we're talking.
Welcome to Howling 7.
Dogs, they're coming. They're coming your way. They'll be here soon.
I regret to inform you, there is no trailer for The Howling 7. Thank you.
Now love's a memory, cold as stone, but I need my heart so
So this is Rough Cuts, a podcast about good boys and bad movies, and we've got our special guest, Evil Urchin, here with Howling 7.
This is my fault.
Mhm.
This is your fault.
Yes. Also, our wonderful friend and co-host, obviously, Voix.
Yep.
Okay, so there's not a castle in Transylvania, but you wanted to make a point. There is a castle in this movie.
Yes, it's in
But
Budapest.
I disagree. There's not a castle in this movie. There's a castle in old movies, which they've repurposed the footage of for this movie.
Hey, it's close enough.
They don't even repurpose the footage. They specifically say, hey, this happened in a different movie. Let's show you that. That's not repurposing. That's reusing and then also saying it's a different film.
I say
Sure.
it's being economical.
You need to pad the movie out. It's fair, yeah.
So I didn't realize that you actually, I feel like to get this movie, you need to have watched like Howling 4, 5, and 6, I think.
I don't think it would help that much.
No, like they try to tie it in real hard. Like they try and make it seem like this is a full continuation, and they really reference a lot of things that happened in those movies in a way that makes you feel like you're supposed to have known about it. Which is asking a lot, because oh boy.
What kind of an idiot would watch the 7th movie in a series without watching the previous ones?
Me.
Oh yeah, me. Yeah.
Oh
Oh yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think Howling 7 was the first Howling film I saw.
I don't know how to do this podcast on this one without it being like 15 minutes long, because that's all there is to talk about.
I mean, the movie is a series of things that happen.
I disagree. There's a lot of things to talk about in this film. Because sure,
Yeah.
the plot is all the last 10 minutes, but there's a lot of character on the way.
Well,
I mean,
there's characters, I guess.
There's going to be a lot of our voices going up in pitch, like this.
Yeah.
yeah. There is a scene early on of all of the men in sombreros sweeping the bar down and then doing a little Mexican dance.
They
I
also
guess.
stomped on an invisible cockroach.
We borrowed my brother's Casio keyboard.
This is one of the presets on it, I think.
I think so, honestly.
Like,
And they're all
you're
wearing
just getting
sombreros.
a lot of them in sombreros sweeping, huh?
But why?
For like, what?
What are they stepping on?
Stomping something invisible. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like
Yeah.
stomping on bugs, and they decide to just turn it into a weird dance with all wearing sombreros. And there's a weird bit where they're like taking shots at a bar, but like adding one person for each shot.
Well, yeah, I thought that was amazing because you talked about how much line dancing there was in this, and you warned us, and there is a lot of line dancing, but you didn't tell us about the line drinking.
I'm sorry, I got lost in everything else.
Happens. I didn't know it was possible, but they did.
This movie is YouTube thumbnails in film form.
Yes. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's the highlight reel of every Howling movie between like 2 and 7, I think. It just
No, after 3. It's like 4 through
Yeah,
6.
But there's
Okay.
there's like an Australian guy looking surprised, and then it has titled "Communist Satanists Set Up, Visitor Attraction."
oh my god, yeah. These men.
Communist government and its
Oh my
The
God.
communists? I knew it.
Tourist attraction.
Fuck. What a second. I gotta get my map and some straight.
Communists thought that Satan would be a cool tourist attraction because they love and that's communism. Communism loves Satan.
They too were destined
No,
never to get
communism was just a red.
The official
herring.
story was that they had gotten lost during a
Look
freak
here, you little
Communism
shit.
was a red werewolf. There we go.
They talk about the plot of all the other Howling movies, and then they show flashbacks of all the other Howling movies, and it's between you called him Columbo Carradine, or
Yes.
David
and
Columbidine.
Yeah, David Columbidine. Thank you.
Yeah.
And the Christopher Lee knockoff, who, oh my god, he's not Christopher Lee, but I mean,
No.
he's trying at least, I guess. The
But again,
priest.
at least he had previous acting experience, unlike everyone else in the film.
True. But they are sitting there just doing lines back and forth at each other where the inspector keeps on going like, werewolves? Wow, you think that there's werewolves in this town, huh? They're not in the town. They're not anywhere. They're just in a room, and it like starts on them as he's telling him about how there's werewolves, and then he keeps going through all of the various like Howling movies, and it's totally disconnected from anything else that's happening in the film until, like you said, the last 10 minutes when all of a sudden it's like, oh no, they were in that same town the whole time. I guess they just didn't do anything with anyone for some reason.
I'm legitimately not sure if they were in the same town for the most of the film or if they just went there at the end, but you're also missing the important detail of those, which is every couple of minutes, whenever the story starts getting interesting, David Columbidine goes, whoa, hold on. We got to slow the movie down a little bit.
Is that Gary Busey on the right there?
The wrong one.
Okay.
It's quite a bit to absorb, John. Mind if we just kind of take a break and get a little break?
Mind if we go to a different movie?
God.
Columbidine.
I love that they just
No
exit
doubt.
every. Yeah, I love they just exit every scene by him just being like,
I don't understand why you sent that
God, alright, sure, fuck it. Yeah, well, I'm just gonna take a break. This sucks.
Luckily, he's gone. I don't know.
Yeah,
I was
whoa,
gonna get to
whoa.
that, yes.
No,
Yeah, every time that they exit a scene with those two, it's because David Columbidine goes, man, this is a lot to take in. You want to go down for a drink? or like, boy, I'm getting tired. I'm just going to go to bed for now. Let's take this up in the morning. And then it just cuts away. And you're like, okay, I guess. Sure.
You can't threaten us with a good time and then immediately cut away. That's so rude.
Oh, they can,
Yeah,
and they will, and they'll do it consistently.
God damn it.
And throw in a running joke about everyone not knowing what Sherlock Holmes is.
Who's Watson?
Yeah, what's up with that?
Or who George Jones is. There's
a lot of running jokes in this movie.
George Jones?
Well, okay.
You're
Hold on.
being very generous as to what a joke is.
What's a joke? We need to define this because there's no jokes in
Look,
this movie.
I'm just calling it that because clearly Clive Turner thought they were all jokes.
It's true.
So it should be.
We
Also...
should probably explain who Clive Turner is. Boyks, do you want to take that one?
Clive Turner is the writer and director of this movie, but he's also the writer of Howling 5 and 6, and he's also the main actor.
Yeah, you sell him
And
short. He's also the producer. He's the producer,
He's also
actor,
the producer.
writer, and director. All.
He also sucks at all of it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the important part.
I will give him some credit though. At no point does he show up in a black tank top.
Yeah, I was surprised that he does turn out to be a real badass multiple moments. I mean, okay, in what this movie thinks is a badass.
He's a real badass?
Okay, again, for what this movie thinks is a badass and what this movie can do with its budget, it thinks that he makes himself look real good. He's supposed to be some ladies' man, ultimate badass, cool guy going through the movie.
He's kind of the worst Mary Sue ever, because like everyone loves him and he's funny and everything, but he still just kind of sucks.
He just doesn't do anything. No, yeah, he's still just all of his stuff is garbage.
Yeah, he's really more of a Mary Lou.
Yeah.
I'm really angry that they didn't have it be Mary Loop Guru. I'm really mad that they didn't do that.
Guru.
That is way too clever for this film.
That's true, but yeah.
You saw Clive Turner's writing chops with the scene that's like 5 minutes of dick jokes.
Oh yeah, there were 5 minutes of dick jokes. That's true.
Hell, I'd be more worried about small cocks.
Well, I'm pretty lucky there. I've already had diphtheria.
Speaking of Clive Turner's writing chops, the other thing that he's known for is Lawnmower Man.
And Lawnmower Man 2.
Although, he didn't do any writing on those though.
He's
that was
the producer. Yeah. I don't know if that really means anything, but yeah.
He worked with Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan was in Lawnmower Man, wasn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
He sure was.
You ever go to like a video rental store, see Lawnmower Man with that weird perverted 3D face, and be like, I'm gonna play that video game. Can't wait to play that Lawnmower Man.
No. I have.
No, you haven't. You're lying.
I guess, should we talk about what the movie does, I guess?
There is a movie. Well,
Inglorious 358p available on Tubi with ads.
What? 358 is such a specific resolution, by the way. Like that's like making your movie in 666p, the resolution of the devil. Come on.
It's William Castle all of a sudden.
It feels like a joke when you showed me that. I was like, wait, are you like torrenting this off of some like and it's like, no, this is on Tubi. Like this is
that's the original resolution was 358p. Yeah. And it was recorded with a VHS camera pointed at a projection screen that was playing the movie.
Sometimes, other times it was pointed at a Virtual Boy.
That's true. There's a Virtual Boy camera. Yeah.
There are scenes in this movie that I couldn't stand to look at. Not because of gore, but just because I couldn't stand to look at. They decide when they go into werewolf vision, what they do is they get like a fisheye lens kind of thing on it and distort everything. And then they put the reddest red filter over it possible and blur everything out. It is impossible to see what the fuck is happening in those. And it gave me a headache to try. Like, very legitimately, like, looking at that, I was in absolute pain watching them. Like, it really hurt my eyes.
Yeah, to maybe picture it, one of us said, like, basically just picture Evil Dead, but with, like, ketchup all over the lens.
Yeah, that's it. For sure.
Yeah, Boyd said it was, Evil Dead camera by way of film through the Virtual Boy. Because it's got that.
The Virtual Boy doesn't even have an output to it. I don't know how they recorded it. It's
so incredible technology.
Yeah, this is way ahead of its time in 1983, right? That's when this was... It looks...
95?
Yeah, not 1995.
It looks 83.
if we're being generous, yes.
Jesus.
It's anyway, well, okay. I said that we should talk about this movie, and we haven't talked about it.
No, we still didn't talk about it. Well, okay, so this is a murder mystery movie. That's the film.
It's Werewolf the Game, the movie, kind of.
Kind of.
Okay, but I didn't know it was a murder mystery until we were in the last 10 minutes of the movie again, though. What happens before that?
Yeah, that's really the thing, because like the last 10 minutes of the movie is the actual story. Everything before that is just a series of scenes that are strung together.
It's a series of bits from a hack YouTuber.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's very accurate, yes.
Before YouTube, what we had was the VHS camera. And it allowed people to start recording themselves.
In the early 90s, VHS was very cheap, and cameras became affordable. So any hack fraud could just go to their local, retail store, buy a VHS camera, and shoot a movie. And they did. And then they could release them. And they did.
Really, this film was mainly made as a vehicle for George Jones jokes.
What's such a big deal about George Jones?
What?
Yeah.
Why? Who even cares?
I don't even know who the fuck George Jones is.
Jones?
I don't sing like George Jones.
Okay. I'm gonna get into the movie since nobody else wants to approach it. I'll take this goddamn bullet.
I started to approach it and you cut me down.
This silver
Okay, I'm
bullet.
sorry. Fine, you take it, Boix. Go ahead.
So
You want it so bad.
there's like a murder or something, and Columbo is like, "There's been a murder." That's no shit, Watson. Who the fuck is Watson? Is that a reference? And then we go to the bar for dancing and dick jokes and misogyny.
I want to very quickly point out that when they go there, what it is it opens on there being a murder, and they're going, well, I think he's dead, and it's a fucking skeleton.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it's literally a skeleton.
That person died of natural causes. More pie. Had his spine ripped out. Natural causes.
Never heard of anyone pulling their own spinal cord out before. Off the record, I'd have to say no. No, all in all, I'd say this was death by natural causes.
Natural causes?
You can't live without a spinal cord, son. Nothing unnatural about that. Think I will have some more pie.
So, yes, then they just cut to the bar, and it's our main character who ends up not really being the main character,
No.
but it's Clive Turner, Ted Turner, I don't know, that guy. The writer, producer, director, star of the show, who is in Paradise? Is that what it was?
No, it's Pioneer Town.
Pioneer Town,
Sure.
Pioneer Town in California, which Urchin was saying it's actually basically everybody in the movie are just people that live in Pioneer,
Yes.
including the bar owner is just the bar owner of that bar in Pioneer.
Yeah, the actual person that owns that. Yep.
Who
Yes.
I'm also sad to inform you all that Pappy is dead now.
Aww.
Sorry.
I'm
Anyway.
not actually that sad. Yeah.
So they have a country saloon in a small town in California that's real outlaw country kind of place, and there's a motel next door, and that's our entire movie is filmed in those two locations, and whichever room David Columbadine and the priest are in, and we just kind of have the everyday life of a small California outlaw country town. They sweep the bar, they drink in the bar, they do a lot of line dancing. They have a couple of playing spoon solos. I had two of those down.
Yep, there's two spoon solos.
Yeah.
You're correct.
With there's a little old lady that's sitting in the crowd watching all these country shows they filmed for this movie, that she's just sitting there playing her spoons as she watches the country music.
Do you think they had to find a spoon playing specialist? Like,
No, I think that they went to the bar and just filmed what a night is
just
like.
film
in the
whatever. Yeah. Like, they
Like,
didn't
I-
have to find a special spoon man, is what I'm saying. They just had somebody that played the spoons. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, no,
Amazing.
This movie is very obviously not set up at all. Like, all of the scenes that are in the bar with, like, the band playing is just that bar with their local band playing. Like, there's no lighting even or anything. I mean, the line dancing is hard to make out because it's a bar and they didn't put any extra lighting in. You can't see anything in that fucking
It was
thing.
an artistic choice.
No, it was a budgetary concern and they didn't give a shit.
I mean, they also didn't have a microphone other than the one on their camera. So
Yes.
Do you need
it's
more than
fine.
that?
No, well,
I mean,
no.
if you don't have a boom mic, it can't get in the shot.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you'd have to have like another person on staff to hold the boom mic, and ugh. No,
You could
So
probably
anyways-
Yarrow could do it.
Yarrow.
Yarrow. So anyway, Yarrow is in town also. There's a weird group of people that are kind of outsiders.
Yeah.
Although mostly it's Ted. Ted is Australian, and he kind of blows into town, and he's the easy, free-riding kind of guy who, I guess, takes a job at this bar. We don't ever see any of that happening or him coming into town, but he just...
No, we saw him coming into town at the beginning. He's on the motorcycle.
I guess, but he's just already at the bar. Like, they already know him, it feels like.
It feels like it...
They're just bad actors. Like, he does introduce himself, and they're like, oh, this is Ted.
Okay. Anyway, I guess that he's got a job at the bar.
But there's him, there's Glasses Guy,
Mhm.
there's Pappy, there's...
Yarrow,
who is 6 foot tall and full of muscles.
And very, very European. And very Scandinavian.
Yeah.
Swedish.
Norwegian,
Yeah, Norwegian, something,
Australian, something. Yeah.
There's another Australian guy that shows up for some reason, but, yeah.
There's Mary Lou, and then there's Cheryl, and...
God, you are naming a lot of people that I do not remember, but sure.
I remember
I believe you.
Sybil, there's Sybil.
There's Sybil? Sybil's only in for one scene, though, and she just kind of rambles. I feel like Sybil wandered into that scene.
Yeah.
And they just didn't know to
kept
cut.
going.
And
She
just kinda
very
wandered
much
back
did,
out.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Sybil wanders into the scene with David Columbadine and the priest and is serving them tea and just goes, so how's everybody doing today? And they go, good, we're discussing the murder. And she goes, oh, ain't that lovely? And then just kind of wanders out, and we never see Sybil again. That's basically
She showed up
Sybil's...
one more time for like a couple of seconds, but basically, yeah.
Oh, did she? Okay. Anyway, I weirdly enough, I didn't pay that much attention.
But I've got another 3 daughters, but they're not all there.
Thank you, Sybil. You can go now.
It's been a real pleasure meeting you, and I hope when you go to Barstow, you'll look my son up.
We're in Barstow.
Oh, never do know where I am.
Sybil.
Look, as I've said, I've seen this movie 3 times now, so I'm an expert.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's not part of the town anyway. She's just in the building where the priest and Columbo are for some reason.
Which may or may not be in the town?
There's a cast of characters which you don't need to give a shit about. Is the point, I guess, is what we're getting at.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're in the bar. They're introducing Ted to everybody. They have a lot of line dancing, and drinking,
4 or
and dick
5
jokes.
scenes worth, yeah.
And then we cut to the priest and Columbo talking about how the communist Satanists set up visitor attractions, which then everybody died. And then...
Because the spirit of the werewolf still lived in the Satanist castle communist theater attraction. That inhabited somebody's soul, and then they killed everyone.
You know, maybe they shouldn't have medieval times at an actual werewolf castle. I mean, like, you know, but...
Those silly communists will do all kinds of things.
Though, I mean,
but
none of that really mattered because communism was just a red werewolf.
That's true, red werewolf. There's also the Inquisition, which attacked another castle in a different Howling movie that they set fire to 3 times but didn't burn down because it's made of fucking stone.
Because it's a castle. You don't burn down castles. Yeah.
Yeah. And they explain all this stuff that happened in a different movie. And then they cut away because that's too interesting. Let's go back. We're done now.
Get some pretty good scenes from that movie, though. Look pretty awesome.
Yeah, that movie looks great.
So, okay, I admitted that I didn't always pay 100% attention to this film. I tried to, though, and I would like to ask both of you, at any point, was it explained why this David Columbadine knows the priest or believes him about any of this?
No.
Or any reason why he's interviewing him at all?
No.
Okay. Because, like, he just shows up, he sees the murder in the beginning, and then the next scene that he's in is just him talking to this priest, and the priest going, yep, seen this before, it's werewolves. And he goes, oh, wow, huh, interesting. Guess I'm just going to have to investigate this werewolf thing, then.
There's one thing near the end of the movie where he starts accusing the priest of, like, wanting to believe in werewolves, because he had been to X or Y place before. But, like, it was all... The priest didn't tell him that. He just knew.
No, yeah, he said, like, oh, well, you're a priest with a guilty conscience. And it's like, wait, but why? How? What? When did this happen? We'll get to the end of this movie eventually, because that's where everything needs to be talked about.
Yes.
In the meantime, back in the town, there's eventually, like, there's another murder, like, there's, like, we get werewolf vision, and then this guy that was too drunk in the bar that Ted throws out turns up dead, mauled by a wild animal.
So, that's a little bit of a simplification. It's Kevin Bacon, except not.
He's been fried a little bit, yeah.
Way more of a mullet. And he got into an argument with our main character, who's not our main character, Ted, at the bar, as Ted was trying to tell him to leave. And he says, as they're leaving, I'm going to tell them who you really are. Which sets up, maybe Ted has a deep past, or an interesting story, or fucking anything, because it's 20 minutes, and what the fuck? Give me something. And then he runs off, and goes back to his house, walks outside, and a ghost shuts his door to lock him out.
Werewolf could have done it telekinetically. We established that werewolves can fucking body swap, so why not have telekinesis too?
And then the werewolf enters catch-up vision and kills Kevin Bacon for some reason. But there's an altercation, right? So that's the important bit.
Yep. So they find a bunch of the women of the town, Mary Lou, and you said Cheryl?
I think. Yeah.
Anyway, some of the people in the town find the body out in the desert and do exactly what you do when you find a dead body, which is bury it and never talk about it again. And they agree to never talk about it again. So then the next scene is her telling all of the other townspeople about how she found the dead body out in the desert and they buried it.
Well, so I don't think that's the Kevin Bacon body, though. They found the Kevin Bacon body. But the other people found the other person Ted also got into an argument with at the bar, which is...
No, you're right. It was
the second one.
The second guy is the one they buried.
Yeah. No, the first one, they just found him, and then they're like, oh, that's a dead person.
Oh, okay.
And I guess they did call the cops, but they don't really address that.
Well,
they don't do anything about that one. Okay.
They had investigator lady who's from a different Howling movie who doesn't do anything in this film, but shows up in one scene to be like, yep, that's a murder. Or, yep, that's a body. I bet it was a cougar. Or a mountain lion or whatever. Yeah.
Yep, mountain lion. Although the subtitles substituted the victim's name in there for some reason.
Yeah.
Mountain lion.
But that first one was the character from the other movie saying that this looked like a wild animal. The second one was when Ted got fucking cocky. He's like, I'm going to do a bar trick and piss this guy off.
Yes. And so he gets into another altercation in the bar. And then later on, that guy says that he's going to get revenge. Shows up like 5 minutes later, mugging him, putting a knife to his throat. They fight for a little while. Then werewolf vision comes along, knocks Ted unconscious, and then mauls the shit out of that guy.
Yes. And that's the one they bury because he was a criminal. And we don't need to report that.
Saying that they had a fight is kind of giving it a lot of credit.
Sure, there is a knife put to his throat, and then they have no idea how to resolve the action, so they immediately go to catch-up vision so that you can't see shit, and then it just kind of resolves.
Yeah.
I said an altercation, not a fight, to be fair.
Yeah.
There was an altercation. I wouldn't call it any action or a fight.
You'll have to check the recording. I think you said fight.
Whatever. Oh, no, fine.
Anyway.
At this point, we're introduced to the fact that Ted also collects cassettes and also records his own about any crimes that he's done, and that he hates everybody in town or something.
Town's perfect. Vulnerable. People easily manipulated.
I mean, hey, he's been in a previous Howling film, after all.
Never bothered me before.
He's a werewolf?
I don't think he is, but also I don't know why he's putting that on tape. Yeah, he does like just for some reason he decides to record his own voice of like, man, this town's full of yokels that I can pull the wool over, and they're all a bunch of idiots, and I hate them all, and I'm a sleazeball, and I'm gonna put this on tape so that somebody can find it later specifically because that's what this movie requires. And it's setting me up like I'm the werewolf, except that it's the most obvious, pathetic way to do it, so it's obvious that I'm not.
Spoilers.
Well,
yeah,
yeah, it's not really spoiler.
Like, the first time that I saw that, I was like, oh my god, they're trying to pretend that he's the werewolf in the most obvious way that he's not the werewolf. Like, this is pathetic. It's really bad.
It was wild, though, because he's sitting there going through all of his tapes, and he goes past his George Jones tapes, which we need to make sure that everybody knows it's a George Jones tape.
What's such a big deal about George Jones?
And then he pulls out his Salt and Pepper Pusha tape and starts playing it. It's just very inappropriate.
Is the Macarena a line dance?
Push it real good.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, Macarena is kind of a line dance, yeah.
A lot of live music, so, you know, it's a musical. It's fun. Can't wait to see the Broadway version.
Yeah, if it were an earlier Howling movie, everybody would have been naked, too.
Yes. Any case, so we're shortening this. This is an hour of the movie. This whole thing takes place over an hour. There's a bunch of scenes of like the pappy who owns the bar making chili outside, and then
dirt chili.
The car comes by and it kicks some dirt into the chili, so everyone goes, "Oh, you got some dirt in your chili there, Poppy," for about 10 minutes, and then Yarrow eats the dirt chili because Yarrow's a fucking weirdo, and then he goes in and he farts, and everybody goes, "Ah," and they all ran out of the bar because he's stinky, and dirt chili's stinky. Oh.
Yarrow's the main character of this film.
Yeah, lots of
what people say.
Yeah, that's why I was asking. I'm like, is that the same guy? I couldn't tell at first, and I was like, oh.
We got dirt chili now.
Ew. That doesn't...
There's dirt in your chili.
Yeah, I was just gonna...
I need a drink.
But why?
Okay, I was just about to say, I'm like, didn't they just, like, stick, like, a piece of old wood that was covered in mud and shit into the chili? Like...
Yeah, what?
Lots of fun scenes like that in between, as well as shit ton of line dancing and spoon playing.
Is this basically a musical? I've heard it described.
It is basically a musical, yeah. They well after we learn about Ted's cassette tape collection, we cut back to the priest and Columbo talking about another Howling movie.
Yes.
Again, a different
really
one
awesome
than the other one.
Too. That movie looks awesome.
Yeah, this is like another murder mystery Howling movie where there's like 9 people stuck in a castle that are all killing each other, and then at the end there's 3 of them. We don't know which of the 2 is the werewolf, and one character shoots one of them, but she shot the wrong werewolf character.
I love that. That was really good. Yeah.
I'm like, and then the whole time we're like, shit, this movie looks great. And immediately Columbo goes, that's too much to process. We should cut away from this shit.
In that movie, they have like all kinds of cool transformations and like people getting stabbed through the heart, like with rebar, and all these huge gore scenes, and
this film had a good transformation sequence. What are you talking about?
There was a transformation.
There is eventually, yes.
Yeah.
They also show the transformation scene in one of the flashbacks for another Howling movie has a man liquefy himself down to bones and then resurrect as a werewolf. It's fucking amazing. It looks so cool.
That movie looked way better than the movie we're watching.
Like, he melts like a candle until there's just bones, and then he's like Bone Man in soup, like writhing around, and then slowly reforms into a werewolf. It's the weirdest, most cool werewolf transformation I've ever seen. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
As I said, this film's doing us a favor. It's giving us all the best parts of the other Howling films. That's it. You know?
Yeah, because I'm sure that they're all incredible garbage and full of all the same bullshit as this one. It's just that they condensed like the 5 good moments in it down to like something watchable.
But after they were done talking about those other better Howling movies, we cut back to the bar again, and a guy says, "Who wants to hear Pappy sing?" And we all had the exact same reaction.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Oh, God.
God damn it.
Everybody sit down now. Ever had a hot date? One of those I can't wait.
Then Pappy drops his spoken word rap album on everybody.
He's dropping fat poetry on these nerds.
Stand up, testify, testify. And they're all
testify. Those who die.
Look,
wearing a badge.
And it just. I don't think that any of those people properly understood Rage Against the Machine, honestly.
No, they didn't. No, they just like, yeah. Fuck you, I won't do what you told. That's all they know. That's the only part they listen to.
Oh, God.
But
I
Pappy
know.
knows.
No, Yarrow knows what's up. That's why he's so into it.
Yeah, Yarrow knows.
Yarrow is really into Pappy's singing. But they go back to that. There's also like a couple of scenes interspersed in here where the women in the town that found the dead body, that buried it, suspect Ted because he's the newcomer in town and been acting weird. So they go and break into his hotel room and they find his cassette tapes and nothing else incriminating. And they're like, nope, must be him.
Nothing incriminating. He had Celine Dion in there. That shit is super incriminating.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know who George Jones is, but apparently it should be embarrassing too. So
yeah,
they do a whole bunch of things like that, and they're kind of suspecting Ted. So we get to a point where everybody's like, "Oh, it's got to be Ted. We should call the cops finally and get Ted arrested." And then they call the cops, and the mall cop and takes Ted.
And they get Ted
like
arrested.
abandoned barn to beat the shit out of him, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, he does go to a barn to beat the shit out of him and interrogate him, I guess. But before that, we have to get the meth song out of the way.
Okay, there's the meth. Fine, sure. Yes, there's the meth song.
The campfire meth sing-along.
Yeah, they do that.
That happens
They
right
talk about
before
how
it.
cocaine and heroin isn't as good these days, and
They also exposition about how werewolves can apparently body snatch.
Yes. Oh, and just also remember that they had one photo of that actress.
Oh, yeah. So there's an actress who they think is the werewolf. She's like a survivor from a different Howling movie or something. And they had one portrait shot, which was the one that they got from their agency when they hired her.
Yep.
And they put it in the newspaper, and every character has this shot in their pocket, just in case they need to talk about that character.
Have you seen this woman?
Apparently, yes.
But there's a few things like that going on here. The other thing, if we're just going to talk about random scenes, I should also point out really quickly that there's Over There Guy, which was
Over There Guy. You can't forget Over There Guy.
The one woman goes like, I need to find Ted. Where's Ted? And he goes, over there. And she goes, oh, okay, and starts walking away. And it shows her walking away in real time for like 30 seconds. And then it cuts to Ted walking up to the same motorcycle guy, and he goes, so where did Mary Lou go? And he goes, oh, she's over there. And so he's like, oh, okay. And it shows her walking away, still in real time. She's only made it like 50 feet away or something. Yeah. And he starts walking after her, and they show the whole time of him walking over to her. It's just over there guy. You gotta have a little bit of over there guy. Another important thing to note really quickly is that you were saying like she's apparently a survivor from a previous movie that was the one where there was the 3 people in the castle and she shot the wrong one. And then
Yes.
after that, she dropped off the grid and it's like, oh, she was never seen again. So she's probably a werewolf now. Ted also has the same backstory.
Yes.
He was a survivor of a different massacre in a different castle and was found outside in the snow.
But he had no idea what happened, apparently.
And they go, everyone else was murdered there, which was just fine with me.
I loved it.
It was fine by me.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I'm glad they all died. I hated them.
I'm glad they all died. I hated them. I would have killed them myself. Thanks, Ted.
God. I want to also point out, I don't remember which character this was. Was it maybe Mary Lou that did this? There was one 5-second scene where it shows somebody walk into David Columbadine's office, one of the women, and she goes, and he goes, she just comes into his office, doesn't say a word, and he goes, what do werewolves have to do with you? And she looks at him and she goes, they tried to kill me. And then it cuts away.
I think that was Marie.
Yeah, it was Marie.
Yeah.
Marie, okay.
She's the one who was mind controlled by werewolves. Duh.
Yes.
Okay, right, sure.
So yes, werewolves now with the ability to body swap, mind control, and presumably telekinesis to close that door. Werewolves, they get a lot of powers we don't know about.
It's true.
That scene is literally, she just walks in, he asks her that question, she says they tried to kill me, and then they cut away with no context.
Yeah. But the cop who was interrogating Ted, let's go back like 6 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so he's beating him up. Ted tells him he's a fucking prick and he's gonna stick his nightstick up his ass.
Till he gets a nosebleed.
Which is supposed to be cool, but it isn't. And then at that point, Ted somehow gains mystical powers and gets up and then punches the cop and knocks him out. And then Ted just fucking leaves. And that scene's over for a second. It's just done. They never address that up until like a couple minutes later where they're like, oh yeah, shit, we need to figure this out.
Yeah, and they just show the cop dead. They show that the cop's been mauled. Oh no, well, I guess somebody got him.
Yeah, and it's implying Ted did it, but we clearly know Ted left. He fucking left.
Yep, and also
there's no reason for them to not show Ted there's 20 minutes left in the film. Like at this point, they should just show Ted transform and kill them if Ted's the werewolf. So not doing that makes it very obviously that Ted's not the werewolf.
Yeah, and then they immediately after that also confirm Ted is not the werewolf by having him under house arrest and then having the werewolf kill Marie while he's under house arrest.
That's true. It's true.
Which none of the characters question in the slightest.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they put Ted under house arrest. That's one of the weirdest things, too. They just give all of the people there silver bullet guns and tell them to stand outside of the hotel. This is, I think, when the priest and the cop first show up in the town, right?
Yeah,
like
they're finally introduced to the other characters, yeah.
Yeah, they just show up and they go, this man's under house arrest. And everybody goes, okay. Stick him in the hotel room. And they interrogate him for a minute and they say, like, oh, well, why were you here? And he goes, well, I was doing an expose on the people because this is a town full of America's most wanted, and they're all yokels, so somebody was paying me to do an expose on them. And that's really why I've been suspicious. Which also, by the way, his confession tape about how they're all a bunch of idiots randomly got picked up by somebody else and played instead of his George Jones tape, so everybody knows that he's an asshole.
Right after the meth song, I should note.
That's true. But if you're combing through a stack of cassettes, you see George Jones, Salt and Pepper, Celine Dion, you're going to pick the blank tape. All the rest of those.
Every time.
Yeah, blank tape.
Okay, hold up, though. You know that blank tape's just going to be a mixtape of Celine Dion.
It's the fucking 90s. Of course it's a mixtape. It starts off with CNC Music Factory and then goes into, I hate this town, all these people need to die, they're fucking miserable. That's how 90s mixtapes were. You made them for your love and you gave it to them.
Yeah, so the town's okay with him being arrested and they kind of stand outside, watch of his door. And then we have plot. I don't know how
the rest of the movie is plot. Yes.
Yeah, I put down the note that the final act is just what? It
was a lot of us screaming what over and over and over.
Because the priest and Columbo are talking to each other and explaining the plot that didn't happen in the movie. so that you know what the plot.
Yeah, there's a hell of a lot of flashbacks to things we've never seen before.
I was just gonna say, it's not even just that they're explaining things that didn't happen
They
in the
show
movie.
it, yeah.
They're showing things that didn't happen in the movie. They
Yes!
show all of these scenes, and none of them were in the movie before now. Why weren't they in the movie before now? They're so important to what's supposed to be happening.
So
apparently Yarrow died off screen, but then on
what?
screen. What the fuck?
Wait, fuck you! Like, okay, so, like, yeah. Okay, 1 second, I need a moment. So...
That's fair, take your time.
They're talking to each other. Before we left, Ted was on house arrest in his motel room.
Yes.
Right? Okay, the next scene is them talking to each other, explaining the werewolves, explaining everything that happened, explaining why the characters were in previous incidents, and then they say, oh yeah, and Ted escaped, and then they cut to Ted escaping. And then,
yes!
Oh, and also Yarrow died. Oh no, Yarrow's dead.
Yeah.
There's we don't see anything. They're just like, oh yeah, remember?
Yeah, they show him, like, walking out of his motel room, having, like, with one of the guards unconscious on the ground and, like, shattered, like, pot around them, and he's, like, sneaking out, and they're like, oh yeah, remember when he broke out of his motel room? And I'm like,
it's like a Family Guy.
You didn't show that. What the fuck are you talking about?
It's like a Family Guy skit. It's fucking bullshit.
But and this is where we find out, like, they had like the whole interrogation scene with Ted earlier about him doing the expose and stuff, and then the priest is like, well, see, it's obviously Ted. He confessed. See, he was in that castle in Hungary and one of the only survivors. And they cut back to the interrogation scene, but now they're asking him all these questions about, like, why were you the only one that survived in Hungary? Don't you believe in werewolves? And it's what? Like, what happened there?
At the end of a murder mystery movie or a Columbo episode or something, they show the interrogator, the detective, going over everything that happened and all the little bits and scenes that you were supposed to see. They gave you clues. But they didn't do the clues. They just put them in that scene. It's bullshit.
When is the mystery going?
So the priest is going like, well, like, it's very, very obviously Ted. Ted's confessed, which Ted certainly did not confess, and all these different things. And the Columbo guy is like, see, but I'm smarter than you, and I also have prior knowledge about scenes that no one else has seen. So that means that Ted's not the killer, and I'll explain why. And then we find out that Marie was Ted's supposed contract to do the expose. She was a different Catherine?
I think.
Catherine Little, I think.
Catherine, that's what it was, Catherine Little. So it's like, the person that Ted was contacted to do this expose on was Catherine Little. Well, but that was actually Marie being mind controlled by the werewolf. And I know this because werewolf exists and mind control exists. And you don't need to, don't worry about anything else. It's all just fine. And the priest is like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. He's like, and that's why they had to kill Marie. And then they show Marie dying, and you're like, wait, when did Marie die?
When did Marie die?
No, Marie died, I suppose.
And the reason that Kevin Bacon said, I'll tell the town who you really are, is because he gave him $20,000 in a suitcase for some job. And it had nothing to do with anything.
Yep, it was completely unrelated.
God damn it.
Which, we didn't see any of this stuff. Like, none of this was in the movie. And then, after that, we have all this explanation. And he's like, no, I think Ted's still guilty. And he's like, we just need to shoot him now before no jail cell will hold him once the full moon comes and he becomes engorged as a werewolf. Once the full moon fully engorges the werewolf in him, then they use that a lot, and I just have to point it out.
Why do you keep talking about Ted becoming extremely engorged?
Mm-hmm. And so he goes, listen, all right, fine. I'll do the rest of my investigating. You can be the one to watch Ted. And he gives the priest the gun, dismisses all the other guards, has him stand outside of the hotel room, and he goes off to do more detectivizing, we guess. And then the rest of the movie happens.
I guess there's the rest of the movie.
There's not much left at that point, but
No, I was gonna let somebody else. I was trying to give it to somebody else because I didn't want to explain everything.
okay, that's fair. I can jump in here. So we've left the priest in front of the room, and he goes in. Like it's that he goes in and finds he's not there, right? If I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh my god, what's going on? And then what's her name comes up. It was Mary Lou, right? Although she's going under a different name. We know that she's Mary Lou later. Spoilers.
Yeah, I think she's going by Cheryl.
I do want to say the priest was knocked unconscious though, and then
correct.
Because of course everybody just is, for some reason, Ted is able to constantly walk out of his room with these armed guards, knock them unconscious, and just disappear whenever the fuck he feels like it.
Was it Ted that knocked out the priest? I don't remember.
Well, no, we'll get into that. That none of that happened. Remember? So, but he's supposedly knocked out, and
that's right. Sorry.
Mary Lou shows up, and Ted's on the the priest is on the ground, and then he's like, "Oh, I don't know. I don't think he's in there. He knocked me unconscious and overpowered me."
Okay, that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Sorry, it was a little confusing at the end, so the details get mixed up. But anyway,
a little bit,
just a little bit, yeah.
So she goes into the room and says, "You can come out now," because she magically knows that he is hiding in the attic.
Yes.
For reason.
Well, the camera panned there. So
Which motels have. Motels all have attics.
Yeah, it's more of a crawl space, really, but yeah.
He's a crawl space cowboy. But yeah,
camera panned attic.
So that's how she knows, I guess. And so they leave together because she's like, "Come with me, I'll keep you safe." Because she's, not the werewolf, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, no.
No, obviously not. And she takes the gun, I believe, or does she have her own? Either way,
she has a gun, yeah, with silver bullets.
Oh no, she had to have taken it. That's right. Because of what happens in a moment. So they get in the car and drive off, and she takes him to presumably her house, but apparently she lost her own keys. They have to break the window to get in. I'm not sure if that was just, if that's to establish that's not her house or what, but either way, they do.
No, they explain that actually. When she's then confessing to him right afterwards, she goes, "I'm going to say that you had to break into my house and kill me."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So she was going to disappear and have her house look like it was broken into so that Ted set up for her murder too.
Okay, yeah, that's right. So then she does the thing where she sits there and explains her plot, kind of, as best you can.
And Ted says, "You're the werewolf?" Like that. That's how he made his life.
You're a werewolf?
You're the werewolf.
And then she's like, "You don't ever need to worry about that now." Blam, blam, blam!
Blam, blam. And then I went in blasting. Yeah, but it turns into an FMV game where he's clicking on a prompt and it asks the question and then it cuts to her responding 4 times.
It really does feel like an FMV game with the way that they shot it. But
and the quality.
Points the gun at him and They do a weird thing where they show the clock behind her and it's 3 o'clock and she's sitting there and she explains the whole thing to him during that time. And then they cut and they show that it's now 9 o'clock and she's like, "Well, time to kill you." And I'm like, what were they doing for 6
hours? Yeah.
So anyways, she blam blams and Ted sits there and he goes, "Blanks, baby." And they're like, "We set you up." And
because Columbo walks out,
and David Columbadine,
the actual protagonist.
Yeah.
Yes. And he's like, "Yeah, I figured it was you, but I didn't have proof until we set you up and pretended that the priest was knocked out, and I would see who would rescue Ted, so that I knew that they would set him up as being the werewolf, and they'd disappear and kill Ted and make it all, hunky dory, whatever, cover the whole tracks." And then she's like, "Oh, do you think that your little gun will shoot me?" And he turns into a werewolf in the window.
Well, because she opens up her window because they were waiting for the full moon. Yeah. So the reason she needed to wait till 9 o'clock is that there was a full moon and there was plausible cause that Ted was turning into a werewolf to kill him. So she starts turning into a werewolf, which normally would have a transformation scene, but in this case, Clive Turner learned that there's a tween function that exists on the computer. And you can just tween 2 images and it looks perfect. You don't need to do anything else. So there's these other transformation scenes they shown from other Howling movies in this movie, and instead they went with the tween.
Yeah, you got to make a choice there, really. Either like do your own transformation or use the previous film's transformations. Don't mix and match.
God.
Especially not with the melting one. The you can't have the melting scene and the tweening scene in one film.
No. It's really bad when they have comparisons from the past movies where there's actual like gore and special effects and stuff, and then this movie happens and you're like, you did not need to call back to those movies in this one.
No.
it's not a good comparison. I mean, he's learned about tweening. He also learned about how to do digital zooms and stuff too.
That's true.
There's a lot of scenes of where it will be a still image, and to give the idea that they're zooming in, it will just keep cropping the still image closer and closer for like 4 or 5 still images. It's pretty great. He does love that one too.
But she I'm doing big air quotes, transforms and then jumps out a window into literally the entire fucking town with guns and pitchforks blasting her.
But it's a Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid ending where we don't actually see it. We just hear the gunshots as it goes to the moon. So maybe the werewolf got away. We don't know.
But they did the blasting scene, and then they hard cut to music in the credits.
Whoa. Also, I love the little shit. And they just walk away. They not have a...
What? Why is the whole town here?
Because they all set her up. They knew.
What the fuck?
It's a Bolivian Army ending.
Oh, line dancing! Yay!
Fuck line dance ending. Perfect.
What the fuck? You can't do that.
They just did.
Back to Pappy's bar and the band playing with the lady and her spoons in the crowd and Pappy kind of dancing on the side. And then Ted goes up and does his solo rap album, drops some hot lyrics on everybody there, and that's credits. That's the movie.
Basically, it put all the plot into 10 minutes, and then once it put that plot, it's like, we're done, we're out of here, bye!
This is one of the weirdest movies to, like, recommend to people, because we said at the beginning, there was a review that was like, this movie's boring as shit, but I guess I'd recommend it to people that like bad movies. And I'm like, why would some asshole recommend this? Well, if you're saying that it's boring, why on earth would you recommend it to people that like bad movies? Because people that like bad movies don't like boring bad movies. We like weird, wild shit. But having watched it, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I would say just watch the last 10 minutes, but then you don't get the, like, what the fuckery of the fact that, like, the whole plot of the movie and everything just gets so turned on its head and in the most asinine, wild ways with no setup and no reasoning and, like, no chronology even. Because when they show him escaping from his jail cell, I'm like, wait, are they describing what's going to happen in the future? Or is this in the past? Like, do I need a flowchart to figure out this fucking ending? Like, none of it makes chronological sense. It's unhinged from time out of nowhere, and it just happens.
It's like how Lake Mungo spends the whole film building up to like the last part. That's kind of like what this film's doing. The whole film is building up.
Lake Mungo is so goddamn good. You take it out of your mouth and this movie in the same sentence.
This movie is exactly like Lake Mungo, and that can go on the back of the box, my friends.
Fight both of you. I'm gonna take this nightstick and ram it up your ass until you get a nosebleed.
Oh my God,
Let's talk about the dogs in the movie.
There are dogs in this
There's
movie.
9 of them.
There's so many dogs.
There's 9?
There's 9 dogs. No, there's 9.
Where were the last 3?
The werewolf.
Don't worry about it. We'll get to it. It's the werewolves. All right, so there's
okay. If you count the werewolf, yeah, okay, that's not. Yeah,
there's small dog jumping up at the table because it wants food.
It was the little Shih Tzu is the best dog. Okay, I'm
dog
looking at this dog right
very
away.
cute.
That dog tried so hard to jump up onto the bench and failed 3 different times. It's a good puppo. I hope that it eventually reaches that bench. 12 out of 10.
I would also say 12 out of 10.
I'd agree.
Yeah, there's dog that inexplicably walks by and seen when Ted is leaving somewhere. That dog is
dog that I didn't see, so
that dog is good. It's just a background actor. It did its best. I'd say maybe a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
perfectly average 10 out of 10.
There's other dogs sitting outside while Ted leaves the motel, which looks very attentive and is a very good guard dog and would be very happy to bark and accept pets. So I would give that dog like an 11 out of 10.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. There's 3 dogs at the garbage, which are looking for delicious garbage food. While, who was it? Mary Lou, I think.
I think a couple of the women were there.
Some of them were just hanging around at the garbage before they get a piece of bloody clothing that Ted had that was actually paint and not blood, which had nothing to do with the plot, but it was anyway. Those dogs really wanted that garbage, and they were so excited to see people. And I don't think those dogs were brought on set. I think those were just dogs that were in the neighborhood, and they just kept rolling.
I mean, that's the actors in the film.
Yeah.
I feel like those dogs were much better than most of the background actors in this film, and they did more to advance the plot than most of the background actors in this film because they actually made Ted look somewhat suspicious. So
it's true.
I'm gonna, give them an Oscar for that. They're the best actors here.
Yeah, they're very good. Very good. There's Werewolf from the first Howling movie that we were introduced to, which went into the church that got set on fire with their coven.
No, the first one I saw was the one that just looked like it was wearing like a shag carpet walking through a dark hallway.
Yes, it was like backlit and it was like a silhouette. It looked fucking cool as shit. It looked amazing. Terrible, but amazing.
Yeah, there's werewolf that melted during transformation. That werewolf fucking rules.
That was awesome.
That's like easily a 13 out of 10 dog right there.
Hands down, I need to see that movie because that is hands down the best transformation scene I have ever seen in a movie.
It's certainly the most unique I've ever seen.
It's interesting.
It is so wild and it goes so far and it makes so little sense, but boy did they sure put a lot of effort into it, and I really appreciated that. That one was stunning to me, what they did with it.
That's the one werewolf that made me sad that I was forcing you to watch this Howling instead of that one.
Yeah, because that looked like I actually do need to see the rest of the context for that, because I don't know what werewolves make you melt into a puddle of goo and bones and then reform, but I need to see it because holy shit.
And then there's this movie's werewolf, which has flash animation quality from Newgrounds.
Yeah, I would give that one a firm 21 out of 10 because it's a tween.
I would give it the Newgrounds rating of like a 2 out of 10.
Well,
Laugh at me.
The actual costume is clearly like, just a rubber costume.
Yes, for sure.
It honestly, is it just I guess that they do have her move eventually. I was like, I thought it was that one's just a still image. Like they could have just had a photograph from another movie, but then I'm like, oh right, yeah, they do. Like they have her burst through the wall and get shot.
If they put a little bit more effort into their animation, they could have made an animutation, and it would have been great. And they could have got Neil Cicerego to do the score and but didn't happen.
A lot of things didn't happen.
Yeah. This movie happened.
It sure
did. We
saw
it. We fucking saw it.
My pet counter has been suspiciously empty for about 4 movies now, and I'm getting real disappointed. So
True.
We're gonna need to find one where the dog gets some good old pets.
Yeah. This movie did have a kill counter though. 5 deaths, 2 off screen, but we're on screen. I guess.
None of the deaths were really on screen.
Yeah.
None of them were really on screen. Because the cop, he just kind of screams, Marie?
Marie.
Yeah, Marie. Well, there's Mary and there's Marie, which, oh god, they... what a stupid fucking idea. Anyways, Marie is the one that was mind controlled, and they just have her show up as dead. They don't show her death.
Oh, she
Same with
screams.
Yarrow. Yeah, she screams. Yarrow doesn't even scream. Yarrow's just being held in someone's arms.
As you should be.
Yarrow deserves
Is there
better.
anybody that dies like on screen?
Oh yeah, like
not in ketchup vision.
Well, no, not like because that's the first guy you see his hand like going but it is in the werewolf vision.
Right.
It's in the vision.
Yeah, it was in ketchup vision, and like they show him fall to the ground, and they just cut to his hand on the ground, and it twitches for a second slightly. Yeah.
Well, as we were doing this entire recording, I started a pot of chili outside, so I'm gonna go check on it real quick.
Make sure there's no dirt in it. You can't get some dirt in your chili, otherwise it'll get real stinky.
We're gonna add the dirt. You need the
There's
dirt.
fucking dirt in my chili! What the fuck? God damn it! God
Hey,
damn it.
hey, boy! Can anyone tell you got dirt in your chili?
There's dirt in that chili!
I don't sing like George Jones.